Yo, what's going on friends? How's it going? And welcome back to Football Yannick, where I am going to preview, I don't know what game week it is, but the weekend's Premier League football, and we'll speak about the fixtures and any notable talking points. I'm delighted to have you back here, learning English. I'm delighted to have you back here with me, friends. Trying to upload, let's just say every day, but most days here on the channel, so if you are interested in my commentary and thoughts and takes, please do consider subscribing. It should be 4K. Try for good quality, nice lighting, good audio, and hopefully good content. So welcome aboard, and yeah, let's just crack on. So it's a peculiar scheduling, this game. We got loads of 3 PMs on Saturday. There's an 8 PM, which is nonsense really. Midday on Sunday, which seems very peculiar. And then 2:05 PM kickoffs, which is very peculiar. But we're going to start off with, as they're being presented to me, Brentford and Burnley, which isn't the sexiest fixture in the world. And to be honest, I don't really care who wins, but Brentford, they've been playing quite well. Burnley have a chance of staying up. I'm going to go for, maybe a draw there. I want to speak probably, without being disrespectful, more about the sort of higher profile games, I suppose. Now look, at the Etihad at 3 PM, Man City, Pep Guardiola's Man City floundering. They're on consecutive losses in Premier League and Champions League, I think. And yeah, like rotating his whole team against Bayer Leverkusen, thinking they were going to beat them and losing convincingly at home, or losing 2-0 at home. And yeah, putting himself in a slightly trickier position there in the Champions League. But all the big boys will come back in for this. Erling Haaland, who I've captained on my Fantasy Premier League, of course, was born in Leeds. Does that mean anything? Almost certainly not. Still, they have to win this game if they're to consider themselves title challengers. Really, you got to beat Leeds at home, a promoted side. Of course, Arsenal running away with it. They are 7 points clear of them, but a lot can happen over the winter period. But Man City, more than anything, they just need to look like they can convince again that they are a really good Pep Guardiola footballing side, because we've not really seen that. We've seen a lot of over-reliance on Erling Haaland up top. Of course, Gigi Donnarumma in goal has been good, but yeah, it's all a bit of a change, really, isn't it? Sunderland versus Bournemouth. It actually is the kind of fixture. I mean, I won't be watching because I'll probably watch the City game to do it, depending on what's going on. But Sunderland have been the surprise package, doing very well. Almost certainly will stay up. At home against Bournemouth, they'll see that as a very winnable game. Bournemouth sort of fluctuating form. By the way, I think Man City will beat Leeds. I think this will be a draw. So I've predicted 2 draws so far. Everton at home versus Newcastle is a really interesting one. After Idrissa Gana Gueye getting sent off for slapping Michael Keane, apparently they've all kissed and made up. Of course, despite going down to 10 men at Old Trafford, they beat Man United. David Moyes getting his first away manager win there, finally. Newcastle lost to Marseille in the Champions League. Everton will be prepping. I think Everton can win this as a bit of a twist of fate. I know Newcastle have generally been playing sort of okay. Actually, in the league they've been underwhelming. Yeah, I think Everton are going to win. Saucy. Now, Tottenham, the 8 PM fixture on Saturday is Tottenham at home to Fulham. Tottenham, who have got slapped by, a really disappointing performance against my mob Chelsea. They got slapped in the NLD, the North London derby. And they lost 5-3 to PSG in the Champions League midweek away. Now, they're getting, for my money, they're getting far too much praise for a game where they ship 5 goals. Everyone's sort of going, oh, well, Kolo Muani, 2 goals and an assist. I heard on the Football Weekly podcast, they were like, all right, so the best performer against PSG was a PSG player on loan, Kolo Muani. I don't know, man. This isn't even me being a Chelsea fan trying to rip into Spurs, but I think they've been, way too praised for that game. They 8 5 goals in the Champions League. Fair enough, changing the formation. But Fulham, I think Fulham, you can't really, now and again they play well, the silver side, they're a bit robust. They do have good players. Tottenham at home as well. They play so bad at home, but I think eventually something's got to give. So I'm going to give it to Spurs. But it's the kind of fixture that you think, well, they could screw up, and you wouldn't put it past Marco Silva getting a good result there. But I'll begrudgingly give it to Tottenham. Right now, Sunday fixtures. There are the three 2:05 p.m. kickoffs, but at midday there's Crystal Palace at home at Selhurst against Man United, who had a man up at home against Everton, and they still managed to lose. They'll be going away to Selhurst. The thing is, Crystal Palace played last night in Strasbourg. They played away in Europe on a late Thursday night kickoff, and they've got a 12 p.m. I know they say Thursday, Sunday, but you think they'd get an 8 p.m. on Sunday or something. To get a midday on Sunday is pretty bad. Of course, Man United have got no European football, and had Palace beat Strasbourg comfortably, I think they would have probably been favourites even away. Then you'd think, they ride high. Ollie Glasner will just beat Man United. They're the kind of team. He set up perfectly to beat him. Both playing back threes, but Crystal Palace love it when the opposition want the ball and they counter on them, and Man United will want the ball against Palace. But because they lost to Strasbourg, and because they can't rotate much, Crystal Palace, they really can't rotate that much, I do genuinely think this could be tough. I think it's going to be a draw, Crystal Palace and Man United. I think it will be like a 2-2 or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, usually I'd give it to Palace if there was no midweek fixtures, which is mental. I'm of the age where I don't know I'm ever going to get over saying that about Man United. Obviously I'd say Crystal Palace would beat Man United. It's obvious. But that's where we are. But I think it could be a draw here. Now, Aston Villa, they will of course beat Wolverhampton Wanderers, who have been absolutely turgid. They got a new gaffer on the touchline, but still, Villa running hot. Morgan Rogers has found form again, to the point where I brought him into my fantasy Premier League team. Wolves will go down and they'll probably finish 20th. Don't really ask to tell you about that, so I think Villa will win. The second of the three, I'll say 2 p.m. I want to say 2 p.m. 5 minutes past 2 p.m. kickoffs is actually quite saucy, which in terms of how the teams are playing. Nottingham Forest at home versus Brighton. Oh, that is a tricky one, isn't it? Because Sean Dyche in situ, a little bit of a revitalised Nottingham Forest, but Brighton can play well. I think. Ooh, what a tricky one to call. I think I'm going to go for Forest. I know Forest have also got European commitments, but I think the vibe's up. They've got a great squad. They've got, great players coming off the bench now. Everyone's sort of being utilised as they weren't before under Ange. I think Forest will beat Brighton. Now, of course, there is the two blockbuster, most intriguing fixtures. Firstly, Chelsea-Arsenal. Of course, I'll speak about this more detailed on the main YouTube channel on Football Therapy. But I feel like this is a great game at the moment. They've both come off big European wins in midweek, both at home to Bayern Munich and Barcelona, respectively, both scoring 3 goals. I think it's better that Chelsea are at home. It makes it more compelling, more of a test, because Arsenal... I looked at the bookies. Arsenal are still quite comfortable favourites here. But I think the kind of pressure's off Chelsea a little bit. They'll be filling themselves the way they've just slapped Barcelona up at home. They'll be hoping that Stamford Bridge can bring that similar atmosphere. And I think it'll be quite a good game. Arsenal's so hard to create chances against. But maybe a draw, which sounds a bit boring and sitting on the fence, and, probably both teams would take it as well, which again is kind of boring for the moment. If you're a Chelsea fan, this Arsenal team, how good they are, if you don't, lose to them at home, it probably accepts, I guess, because Arsenal are at the peak of their sort of development as a team. We'll see what happens there. I'll say a draw. West Ham, who had a really poor start to the season, are playing at home to disaster club, should I say, Liverpool Football Club. Arne Slot constantly getting slapped up. at home at Anfield, so maybe there'll be like less pressure because they're not at home, because they were just eating goals at Anfield. I think the last 3 games they've lost by a goal margin of 3. Is that correct? And I think actually in all of them they've generated more XG than the opposition, which just sort of tells you they're all over the gaff mentally as they're finishing. Oh, I don't know, man, because they are. Like, you wouldn't at all be surprised if Liverpool lose to this West Ham, which is nuts. So the Premier League champions, they've spent £500 million on players, yada, yada, yada. And West Ham have been, very poor. But this could be... I mean, if they lose to West Ham, Liverpool, like the talk of needing a managerial change will double. Because of, like, you can't keep losing to everyone, especially teams of this calibre. You got to see Isak score. I mean, they could win 3-0, Isak scores 2, Vets comes off the bench, scores 1, and everyone will be like, what are you worried about? I mean, imagine that. That would be the ultimate narrative twister. Even though it's just West Ham or whatever, they go there, win 3-0, Isak gets a couple of goals and Florian Wirtz gets a goal. I don't know if he's fit or injured. I think he was injured recently, but just say, theoretically, those guys... and Wirtz gets assists one of the Isak goals. Do you know what I mean? And Salah gets an assist, or even Federico Chiesa or something like that, and something for the fans to grab onto about a bit different. Do you know what I mean? But they could also lose. I'm gonna say Liverpool win. I'll give it to them. And if they don't, Arne Slot is done out here, mate. But let me know your thoughts. Please do leave them down in the comment section below. And let me know if you like these kind of preview videos. I'll do more and sort of review videos. Talk about the high profile stories as well. Let me know. See you soon. Peace.